The Marketing, Media and Communications portfolio is responsible for managing the SRC's public image as well as communication strategies. This portfolio also oversees the creation and distribution of content across all social media platforms and ensuring that students are informed about SRC activities and initiatives. In simpler terms, the Marketing, Media and Communications Officer is in charge of making sure that you know and see the SRC. We've gathered candidates of this portfolio to sit and debate and prove themselves to you as the voter who's going to vote on Wednesday this week if they are worthy of your vote. Good afternoon, I'm Thrive25 and I'm your host and facilitator for this debate. And welcome to the SRC election for the portfolio Media, Marketing and Communications. Allow me to introduce our candidates. On your far left, we have Tumelo Mulisani. Next to him, we have Kanyisile Tlatla. Next to her, we have Muriri. And next to her, we have Mahlodi Mabitsela. Thank you so much for taking time to sit with us and for this debate. A few ground rules before we begin, just so that you're a bit comfortable and eased into this debate. Please ensure that you're respectful at all times, as no discrimination will be tolerated. A question will be asked to each of you, of which you will have an opportunity to respond, and your fellow candidates will then have an opportunity to respond to your response as well, and hopefully give their input on the question as well. And for time reasons and time constraints, try to keep the arguments as short as possible because we don't really have as much time available to us. And let's try our best not to interrupt each other while speaking. You can always just signal, put your hand up, and then I know then the mic will then be passed over to you after the candidate is done speaking. Seems pretty self-explanatory, right? Cool, let's get right into it. The first question I have will be for Mahlodi. You know, we live in an era of a lot of misinformation and a lot of digital fatigue, specifically within the social media space. What would you do as, you know, the head of this portfolio, being marketing, media and communications, to develop a strategy to effectively distribute accurate information towards the students?
Well, thank you for that question. My strategy would obviously to consult with management if the issues are surrounding management, and then consult with the student who raised these issues to just see if these issues are correct, are accurate, or people are just making things up. And then after that, that's when we will hold some sort of a discussion with the rest of the SRC panel and eventually conclude to publish such issues to the rest of the student populace.
Mawashi, you're nodding quite a bit. Is this something that you agree with, or do you think something else should be done that's different?
I think I agree with what my colleague here is saying. I mean, the whole point of during this era of misinformation and digital fatigue is to essentially cut through the noise. So we don't just post and agree with everything that's happening. You first have to consult with management, like she said, and then sit down with your team, because again, the MMC portfolio is not an individual role. You don't just act alone. It's a very supportive, very collaborative role. So you sit, you guys decide, and then you can publish and share. And when sharing, you actually share it on like official sites, like use of your Instagram channels, your WhatsApp broadcast channels, you know, not just word of mouth, because I mean, word of mouth is very deceiving. I can say this, and then when it gets to you, eventually it's something totally different.
It seems like Tumelo has something to say with regards to what you just said.
I heard what both of my candidates are saying, and I only have a question for them. Since most of our students are different, how do you plan on making sure that students without reliable internet access are equally informed during a crisis?
I'm going to let Kanyisile respond to that first, and then we'll let the mic pass on. Kanyisile?
Thank you. As not all students are constantly online, so we'll combine digital platforms with physical touch points like campus boards, and work with all the faculty houses to distribute accurate information via WhatsApp groups. This will ensure that during a crisis or policy change, this rapid response multi-channel approach ensures our voices rises above the noise and reaches every student with the truth.
I'll let you pass the mic over to Tumelo before we move on to Mahoshi. Tumelo?
I don't think my question was answered. It was based on learners who have no reliable internet access, how do you plan on making sure that they're equally informed, just like the ones that have access?
We'll give Kanisila an opportunity to answer. Then yeah, Kanisila, you can go, and then we'll hand the mic over to you.
Like I said, you said your question was how will student without internet access will access the information, right? Like I said, we'll make sure that we'll post on campus boards and maybe in person, face-to-face podcast and talk to them about that.
Nabashi, do you have something to add or an answer to a question that Camilla posed?
Okay, so I think just to add on to the physical notice boards, yes, we can also do that, but a lot of the times the physical notice boards are very crowded. So then, there's posters, it's the election, like for example, now it's the election posters, it was the faculty houses. So there's just a lot happening at this point in time. But I think also collaborating with residences, we do have the residences ex officios. So then that's something you can tell them that please pass on this message to your constituencies that, okay, this is what is happening. And then for students that are for the day students, I think we can consider something like having campaigns in the piazza where you're like, okay, this is what is happening, this is what the SRC is doing, and this is how we're actually dealing with this problem.
I'd like to hear what Mahleli has to say, and then I'll pass the mic back to you, Camilla.
So my opinion is quite similar to Mahoshi's. I think it would be a good idea to, collaborate with faculty houses, people who are in the executive council, who will be in turn in touch with class representatives, so that students, while they are attending class, they can receive this information. Or just like my other colleague they said, via WhatsApp groups, same thing. The ex officios can pass on this information to class reps, and then class reps in turn pass the information to students via our WhatsApp.
I'd like the mic to be passed off to Dumelo as well. Dumelo, before you answer this question, I want to gain your perspective in terms of this portfolio, right?
Yes.
Marketing and communications. A lot of people may argue that this position requires you to be the mouthpiece of the institution. You have to maintain the brand of the University of Pretoria and ensure that it's constantly in the best light and a positive narrative is pushed forward by the university. How will you ensure that you do this accordingly within this portfolio?
So first and foremost, I would anchor our campaigns to be in storytelling, right? And that reflects the university's unique value proposition. I will make sure that I highlight real student journeys from township to graduation. This portfolio is more than just posting, it's more than just social media, it's more than that. It's making sure that each and every student is informed, is heard, and is represented well, right? At the same time, it means that we have to represent this university in ways that how can I put it? In ways that represent what this university is all about, right? This university is about diversity, it's about different backgrounds. So that is what our this portfolio has to represent as well. And importantly, this portfolio, right, it would position UP not just as a place of learning, but as a catalyst of change, where students don't just earn degrees, but they become leaders, they become innovators, as well as global citizens. So this portfolio is more than just posting and all social media stuff and all of that.
Kanisila, do you have a response to what Dumelo has just said? How will you, within this portfolio, ensure that you put your best foot forward in ensuring that the University of Pretoria does look good and the brand is still retained?
To add on that, it is important to provide concrete proof to students. So what I will say, can you please repeat your question?
Your portfolio requires you to maintain a specific brand, right? It requires you to ensure that the University of Pretoria is upheld to the standard that it's set for itself. How will you, within that portfolio, ensure that that is still done?
Okay, I'll provide three things, which is transparency and clarity and connection in everything. So what I mean by transparency is I will foster a trust between the student body and SRC. Students should view University of Pretoria as the most reliable source of information. This will mean this I will do that by maintaining verified social media accounts, delivering fact-checked updates, ensuring consistent branding across all official communications. It is important to provide concrete proof as evidence, as I said, by distinguishing between which one is genuine and which one are not. And I will do that by creating chats, video messages, or official stamps, as I will differentiate the truth and from rumors.
I want you to pass the mic over to Mahoshi. Can you see that's just mentioned something incredibly important in terms of sharing information to students? Some may argue that that is something that the secretary is supposed to do. Can you give us a bit of insight in terms of what the difference will be between you as the marketing, media and communications officer and the secretary of the SRC?
All right, I think the roles can be interchangeable. I think the secretary maybe can perform some of the duties of the MMC and likewise for the MMC. But the difference between the secretary and the MMC is that the secretary is more of an internal thing. Yes, they write the meeting minutes, they put the official communication on official letterheads, but really the MMC is the one that is actually like with the students. Like we like to say, the MMC is on the ground. They're the ones engaging with the students, building the community. So the secretary, yes, they will write the meeting minutes, but I think I'd like to say the secretary is more of an MMC, but internally within the committee themselves. But the MMC is the one that actually plans the campaigns and executes the events and all of that actually goes out to engage with the students.
I want you to pass the mic over to Mahlodi. Being the marketing, media and communications officer, your responsibility is to ensure that the university and its brand is adhered to at all times. What will you do if you encounter a challenge of which SRC members themselves deviate from that brand that you're supposed to maintain?
So as the SRC, we are all supposed to adhere to the regulations that are contained in the Student Governance Council. So there are steps that we can take if ever those rules and regulations are mishandled. And so personally, what I would do is just to go straight to management or the relevant authority to report any misconduct that is against the rules and regulations that are set for us to follow, because as leaders we have to ensure that we keep to the rules so that the students can also take it from us to stick to the rules of the university.
Seems like Dumela has something to add to that. Dumela?
I just wanted to say I definitely agree with her in terms of contacting relevant parties in order to solve the situation. Sometimes if a situation is out of your bounds, but as head of MMC, you need to go an extra mile for your students. So I totally agree with what she's saying about contacting relevant parties and all of that.
I want us to take the conversation a step further. Can you see that? I'd like you to answer this question. You've just heard what your fellow candidates have said in terms of ensuring that then, you address this internally. Now we have a situation where, let's say, students have an issue with the university or have an issue with certain instances within the university. That in itself can compromise the brand of the university. What will you prioritize in that situation? Will you prioritize your position as a marketing, media and communications officer, or do you think the students ought to be prioritized in that situation?
My motto says, I am for the student, by the student. Therefore, I'll prioritize the students as they are the ones who are going to vote for me for this position. That is what I can say.
Mamoshi, is this something that you agree with, or do you think that in this situation there is some sort of middle ground and you can still bridge the two?
I think it's a question of, are you an ambassador for the students, or are you a representative for... No, are you an ambassador for the university or a representative for the students, And I think it is quite a delicate balance, but it is somewhere where you can find middle ground. Like I said, collaboration really goes a long way in this portfolio, because you're not just here to serve. I mean, like she said, the students are the ones that elected you, so they want to elect someone they know they can trust. So, for example, the current issue of the current SRC boycotting Choose UP Day. It's a matter of, are we going to go there and represent the university and say, hey, choose UP, it's nice here? Or are we actually going to back down and stand on our word and say, okay, the students are not happy, this is affecting us? Because, I mean, also, we also have to come to a point where, like, I'm also a student, this issue is affecting me. Blazer aside, SRC aside, I am also a student. At the end of the day, that 11,000 Rand is going to cost me. It has to come out of my pocket,
It seems like Kamisile is agreeing there. Do you have something to add?
I'm totally agreeing with her. Yes, that is what I can say.
Tumela, I wanted to ask, given that we're just speaking about the overall reputation of the university, and the fact of the matter is you are still representing the university in this position as marketing, media, and communications officer. Given that, you would often be attracting prospective students and potential partners, business partners, that are looking to invest in the university. How will you be ensuring that is something that you do within this portfolio?
First and foremost, what we need to know is that when you get into this portfolio, you need to know that despite the fact that it is a university portfolio, but you're fighting for the students, that is something that you need to know. And you need to how can I put it? You need to, I don't know how to put it, but can you rephrase your question, please?
So basically, you're in charge of maintaining the reputation of the university.
Yes.
That also means that you're in charge of attracting fellow students or students that are looking to come to the University of Pretoria, as well as potential investors that are looking to invest in the University of Pretoria.
Okay.
How would you ensure that process happens if you are elected as a member of this portfolio?
I'd ensure that by showing that potential. I'd make sure by, excuse me, I'd show that by showing the potential investors that at UP we are all about the students, for the students. I'd show them that at this university we fight for the student despite anything. I'd go forward to show them that yes, we do need your sponsorship, we do need your investments, but at the end of the day, it's all about the student. Despite the fact that you are putting money into the university or you're sponsoring us, I will make sure that students are heard, I'll make sure that students are informed, and I will make sure that the brands and the investors and the potential sponsors know that we are for the students, and yes, that is what I'll do.
Okay, so I'd like to comment on the point of building the reputation. So building a brand, building an image, it's an ongoing thing. It's not just the one-time thing where you just wake up and say, okay, today I'm going to post this on the SRC's page and then the students are going to like it. Then you call it a day. So it's an ongoing thing, campaigns from the start of the year, from the start of your term. So we have orientation week. That's where they get introduced to student life at UP, who the SRC is and what they do. And then throughout the year as well, engaging with issues, engaging with students through the times they face, and then again at Choose UP Day, and then again at Choose UP Day, positioning us and also the university as well, not just as an institution like a world-class research institution, but also as an institution that understands the realities of students and what they stand for,
You're raising something incredibly important, right? It's the fact that it needs to be for the students and how you communicate. I want to probe you on something. With the current existing forms of social media the SRC is currently using, do you think that is not enough in terms of sending information out to students, or do you think a lot more needs to be done within that portfolio, and how will you be doing that?
I think I think it can never be enough, as long as, not even half of the population of the students here at the university follow the pages that are already launched, the SRC, UP, the Instagram handle, as well as the WhatsApp broadcast channel. As far as I'm informed, the WhatsApp broadcast channel has only 2,319 followers, which is not even a quarter of the population. So I think to push that, initiatives such as like promoting those pages, the already established, not necessarily to open new pages, but the media platforms where the SRC is not really visible or at all present, like Twitter, we can open accounts for that, and then go on promoting those social media pages. Pages are via the executive council or committee events that MMC is responsible for catering for.
So can you see had something to add? Can you see
What I'd like to add is that it's not influential, the post we get from the social media, and they do not reach out to all of the students. As I don't know, is it the newspaper only focused on Hatfield campus?
I think so. I'm not sure. I don't think it's distributed to other campuses as well.
That is also wrong. We should reach out to other campuses as they also form part of University of Pretoria. If ever we can do that, trust me, the sponsors will be there. And also, I'd like University of Pretoria to have a podcast, especially to go through TikTok, throughout YouTube. That way, we can have sponsors, active sponsors. Thank you.
I think also just to add on, the fun fact actually, the UP SRC does have a Twitter page, but I think it's one of those things again, like we said, they're not really active on those pages, yes. And then they also have a TikTok, but I think it's important to invest in short form content because yes, you can send the long emails, but honestly, who's gonna read that? Sometimes I myself as a student, I'm guilty of this. I'll just skim through the email, and I think that will cause me to probably miss very important information. So I think engaging in short form content as well, and then those campaigns as well, activations, I think are very important because then that's where you can actually increase your following. You put a QR code there and say, hey, this is who we are, follow our social media to keep in touch.
Yes, I just wanted to add on what both of them were saying. I totally agree, they're right. The SRC definitely needs to showcase UP's commitment in ways that are measurable and accurate, not only aspirational. I mean, we can mention your Twitter pages, your Instagram pages, but they need to show us ways that are very measurable. Show us that, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to spread information to the learners, and this is how we're going to make sure that each and every student is informed. Not only students that have Instagram and Twitter, but each and every student, despite technological barriers or whatever. So I totally agree with what they're saying. We definitely need ways that are measurable and accurate.
I'm going to give you guys each an opportunity to, have your parting shot. We know that the SRC elections officially start on Wednesday, of which the student body will have their opportunity to cast their vote. I'm going to give you each an opportunity of about a minute, hopefully less, to just give your parting shot and explain to the student body why exactly they should vote for you on Wednesday. I'm going to start with you, Emmanuel.
Why they should vote on me? I feel like I'm a very dedicated communicator. I bring a very fresh perspective that is grounded in student experience and a shared student body. I believe that I want the same for each and every student. I believe that I want each and every student to be informed. As someone who was never informed of the resources at UP on my first year, that really it really wasn't good for me because there were so many resources I could have went to, but I just didn't know where to go. So I'm going to make sure that each and every learner is informed, despite whether you're a first generation student or you are a first year student far from home, or you are just a day student that just want to be represented fairly, or you are just part of the LGBTQI plus that just want safe spaces. I will make sure that you're informed. I'll make sure that you are represented. I'll make sure that you are always heard as well. I will not push university propaganda. The aim here is to represent students for the students, because we are also students. Anything that the university decides affects us as well, despite, like she said, the blazer, despite the position, despite whatever you are, everything is going to affect you at the end of the day. So I'm just here to make sure that each and every student is going to be heard, informed, and well represented.
I'm going to move on to you. Why should students vote for you on Wednesday?
The students should vote for me because I am a change maker. First, I'd like to make change by making sure all of the campuses of University of Pretoria are included. And as the UP slogan says, make today matter, I'll ensure that every campaign communicates one clear message that University of Pretoria, we do more than educate, we transform lives, communities and societies. So in that, I'd like people to vote for me, as I will bring creativeness, transparency and clear information on how to get the information that is needed to be heard by the students, not those long email messages like Mahoshi said. Yeah, that is what I can say.
Why are you the best candidate for students to vote for on Wednesday?
I am the best candidate because I bring proven leadership experience. Also, I'm very committed to what I do. I have a genuine passion for the MMC portfolio. So because of my all or nothing personality, by choosing me as your MMC, as your leader, you're choosing someone who's actually committed to doing right by you, you know. I want to make the SRC even more visible, more accessible, and more responsive to its students. It's not supposed to be just a group of people wearing blazers and strutting around campus. You know, we are here for the students, by the students. So yeah.
And lastly, why should students vote for you in this Wednesday's SRC election?
I think students would make the best choice by voting for me, because besides for me being the current acting secretary for my political party, the EFF in Ward 56, I hold a plethora of skills in administration. So I have an experience of, publishing, communication, not only to the student body, but also to the larger public. So besides that experience, I am very dedicated. I put in so much effort because I am an activist, as I've mentioned, that I'm in a political party in the EFF. And so with all of that effort, I think I can use that not only to disperse information to students, but also to use the MMC portfolio to provide, if I could just rephrase that, to promote justice to the students who are marginalized. And yeah, that's it. Students should vote for me because of that.
Thank you so much for taking time to sit through this debate and prove to the student body why they should vote for you on Wednesday's SRC election. A reminder, the SRC elections at the University of Pretoria kickstart on Wednesday, so be sure to make your mark this Wednesday.
Thank you for having us.